I'm going to be talking about process as it relates to design. You have to start a process somewhere. For motocross, that was adapting heavy street bikes with little suspension for the rough tracks of the 1960s. This Monarch is beautiful and well crafted, but not suited for the motocross track, which had lots of bumps and jumps. Racing was the process that improved motocross as a whole. The bikes, the tracks, the riders, nearly everybody had to wear a kidney belt back then because you just bounced around like a Mexican jumping bean. So if it doesn't break, you don't know what to fix. Let each failure improve your process. Here they solved the wheel travel problem, but they didn't strengthen the frame to account for the increased stress. 3 frames had to break before Suzuki addressed the problem. Technological improvements are an important part of any process. Motocross bikes are beautifully designed with plenty of wheel travel and strong, flexible frames, about 100 pounds lighter than the originals. And for about $10,000, any rider can go out and purchase a bike off the showroom floor and compete with the factory teams. So along with the bikes, the tracks had to develop as well. And of course, there's more than one part to any process. Today's racers are actually guaranteed that jumps will be of a certain height, there'll be a certain distance from one another, and when it all comes together, soaring is easy. Motocross is so refined that it gave birth to 2 new sports: Supercross, which is motocross in a stadium, and freestyle motocross, which is where riders do aerial acrobatics on motocross bikes. This, my boss swears, is Wilbur Post. For you young people in the audience, that's from the Mr. Ed show of the 1950s, and it demonstrates that drawing details is great, but it's not a process. Paul Bunyan had a process for cutting down trees, but he didn't embrace technology. This is not one of my projects, but it feels like it is. A process will tell you what doesn't work. The term CA will fix it only goes so far. Feedback from the field is necessary, and those changes need to find their way into the templates that we use to draw. I love this. This is Albert Einstein's definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. If we keep using the same bad details, we're ultimately going to fail. I started thinking about the importance of process, and it boiled down to 2 different options: to build a process to improve quality, lower risk, and increase profit, or build a process to allow me to soar. Then I realized these 2 concepts were not mutually exclusive. In fact, they are dependent upon each other. So this is Edwards Deming. He's the master of QC. He spoke with any manufacturer he could. Japan listened, and the rest is history. I highly recommend his book, Out of the Crisis. His process for quality improvement is called the Deming Circle. First you plan, then you do, then you check or get feedback of what worked and what didn't. Then you act or fix what didn't work. And this should be part of a firm's culture, not a one-time act. How much you should invest in developing your process has a lot of variables. I worked for a firm that hampered small projects with inflexible processes designed for large projects. Adhering to these made projects unprofitable. Here, this bridges a process to get a lot of vehicles from one side to another. This is a completely different scenario. First, you have to decide how much you're going to need this process. I worked for another firm that had no processes at all. No tools, no standards. Everything was a one-off, and they relied on technology to save the day. If we learned nothing from the Karate Kid, it should be balance. I'm not suggesting that you should have a process for everything, including making your morning tea, although I do. I am suggesting that every time you do something without a developed process, you're liable to get burned. So I work for the state, and I'm involved in funding projects, and as you can imagine, the state has a lot of rules and regulations. We have built those into our processes, and this allows me to focus on my job and not on the rules. Frank Gehry doesn't build this much excitement without a process that embraces technology, knowledge, and quality. Also, having a consistent style allows a process to be refined with very limited resources. A well-oiled process means you're never going out on a limb. A new and unique project is simply your process configured differently. I could have used this slide for the balance demonstration, but it is truly amazing. So my daughter is involved on the robotics team at Tucker High School, where a couple dozen kids and a few mentors design and build highly competitive robots every year. How? A process that involves mentoring the new kids to take over. And by the way, they need Lego donations. Here's Wilbur Post again, much happier because he's drawing a building, and he has a process in place that takes all of that burden off of his shoulders. So, thank you.